of like super old school veterans and incredibly fresh young faces. The bot laner for PSG, Doggo, is the only player at the tournament without a title at all. He's never won anything. He was the runner-up in the PCS.
Yep.
He was the only person on the only team to take a game off of PSG all year long. Gets pulled in because Kaiwing couldn't make it, so okay, Doggo's stepping in now, 80 carry, but the young 18-year-old talent, he's got to step up with Maple, who's been to 9 Worlds and MSIs. He's got 7 domestic titles. Like, he is by far the most celebrated player from the LMS. Like, okay, that's mid lane to bot lane. The freshest face versus the oldest face. Look across the side. Hey, Doggo, yeah, so your mid laner's really experienced? Yeah, have you met BRTT? This man's been everywhere, man. Like, and you've got Tin Owens in the mid lane, who's like the original meme when Brazil beat Alliance, when Kaboom beat Alliance back in 2014. Like, Tin Owens has been around the block for like 7 years here as well. So you've got a bunch of really fresh young faces who have like barely started their careers and a bunch of people who've been around for 7 years.
Yeah, and it is really cool to see, and to see some of these players, especially for me, it's like, yeah, go win one for the boomers. You know,
yeah,
get out there, BRTD, get out there, Maple.
He's 30.
He is 30. So it's great to see these guys competing and having success for so long in their career. You know, looking over at Maple especially, he's been around for ages, and he is dominating. Like, he, to me, was the clear star of the team, you know, throughout their time in the PCS. You know, they went 26-1, I do believe, as you said. The only game they lost, I think, was to Doggo's team. So had a pretty amazing run. It will be interesting to see if he can get over on his Azir or if he even wants to play it. Yesterday, he did bust out the set, but in the PCS, 12 Azir games. The next most played was 2 for a couple of different champions, and he is really well known for his Azir as an absolute monster on it. You know, to talk a little bit about Doggo, he, for me, is an exciting player because of how fearless he is. You know, you only have to really watch him play the Tristana to know not only is this guy really mechanically good, but he is not afraid to go in whatsoever. And it's very fun to watch those kind of players try to go for the big plays, try to go for the mechanical outplays, and Kai'Sa is another champion where you can do that. You know, Morgana and Rumble were both left up, so there is the possibility of a trade there if Carioca does want to go towards that, and that is the pronunciation we have been told that it's not actually Karaoke or Karaoke, it is Carioca, so we will be going with that. But Rumble, big power pick, and River is going to be able to grab it.
Absolutely. Now, Morgana would be the obvious trade in jungle. Like, those are the 2 really big power picks. Morgana, Rumble, I think. Rumble, I believe, is the only 100% pick ban champion at MSI. Every other champion has at least been dropped once in draft across the, almost 12 games so far. Hecarim Homer's making me nervous. Please don't do it. I think this champion, honestly, is non-viable, but okay, Carioca's going to pick it up there. Going to go for Hecarim in the jungle. Certainly still a fast cleaver. That hasn't really gone down, but so much of your team fight power, so much of your burst when ganking has been removed, and I'm just not a big fan of the champion anymore, but, both Pain Gaming as well as Detonation Focus Me have picked it so far at MSI.
Yeah, and to me, it just feels like comfort, right? It's one of those things where a lot of junglers have played this all year long. This kind of cavalry combo of Hecarim plus Rel was globally extremely popular for pretty much everyone. So it feels like they're thinking more about the combo, more about the composition, the ability to really hard engage with the Rel as well as the Hecarim, to have the follow-up there from that Tristana, and that is what they're going to play for. But I tend to agree, this is a pretty big advantage if you're looking at relative power of the individual champions. We're assuming that the Rumble is going to the jungle. It can be played top, is very effective there, can actually be played mid lane as well, but thus far has been in the jungle. And not only can you match or even exceed the clear times of the Hecarim, you're just so damn powerful in the 5v5. Yes, Hecarim can look for the engage, but the equalizer is such a good answer to these hard engaged teams. Dropping down the carpet, having them play on top of that, it becomes incredibly difficult to actually win out fights in that way.
All right, well, the ban's coming through right now. Looks like it's mostly deft melee, agility, aggressive champions getting dropped off. Relia gone, Akali gone. We'll see if there's something else come through as well. Relia always makes you think, okay, maybe Nar's the option.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, would maybe see a Sylas here as one as well for this, but makes me think, okay, Nocturne going away as well. Okay, sure.
I mean, Hanabi, it's his most played by far, right? He has 14 NAR games in the regular season. Pretty much will play it anytime he can get it. And largely, PSG are happy to just leave Hanabi on an island. Just have him farming it out by himself, play more towards that bottom lane, play more towards their mid lane, group up with support and jungle, try to make plays there. But largely, Hanabi is just kind of left on his own. Nar is such a good champion for that. So it could very easily be the blind Nar. That's what I expect. The Aurelia kind of does tip the hand, so that coming through would make a lot of sense. Then you save that last pick there for Maple, who did bring out a very different look yesterday. Of course, they got decimated by Mad, but there have been a lot of rumors, a lot of talk about the fact that PSG has actually been really good in scrims. So we'll have to find out if their game yesterday was really representative of their power, or if they can kind of bring out a more impressive performance here today.
I'm expecting a more impressive performance, but of course, expectations have been shattered kind of time and again for me watching the games today. Certainly, I think Royal Never Give Up and Damwon Kia have just been clapping everybody that they've been against, but otherwise, every group looks pretty open for interpretation right now. Rise getting picked up at the mid laner here for Tinones. And now Lucy needs to grab the last champion, the top lane answer to Hanabi's Gnar. What's it going to be? If you want to go aggressive and attack the champion, something like Camille can make sense. I've seen Yasuo. Seems unlikely, but going to go much more defensive instead and say, you know what? I mean, Lulu certainly can be a good laner. So can Karma. You can get a lot done, but you don't camp a Karma to get her ahead. She might have some lane pressure for a while, but you're mostly playing for the Tristana and the Rise.
And generally, in the CBLOL, what Pain wanted to do was just 5v5, right? So this kind of is their MO. Even when they did draft towards the side lane, draft towards things like the Camille, it was largely then just brought into the team fights. They used it, to really start up those 5v5s. And, we did see the Karma played in the finals as well for Robo. He has played it a couple times. I've even seen him go towards, full-on AP style builds to try to really play more for that 1v1. So that is a possibility here. It's not guaranteed to be the more traditional supportive style. We do get the last pick here for Maple, Lucian in the mid lane. He is going to be looking to get aggressive. I think that this PSG team is frightening early when you're looking at a lot of the power here of the Lucian, of the Rumble. Yes, there is great scaling and hard engage over on the Pain Gaming side, but when you're thinking about what that team wants to do, they want a 5v5, and this PSG team is going to be ready to go so much earlier, or it's going to be so hard to contest unless you can get that perfect engage over by a dragon, because these champs are really, really powerful early on.
Yes, they are. Now, Rumble hasn't had the most success at MSI 2021. That said, he's been picked more on the losing teams than the winning ones, and turns out the champion looks good with coordination and with a bit of a lead, not so much when your lanes are getting run over. Honestly, as you mentioned, though, the PSG lineup does look very scary. A lot of aggressive lanes out there, especially, looking at Lucian in mid is going to be good almost in all matchups. So see how much, pressure they can put through then with winning lanes into Rumble, kind of going over the top. See what kind of aggression can come through from PSG Talon. Final notes from the coaches. The fist bumped into the game starting. Pain Gaming from Brazil are 1-0 off of a very deft comeback victory yesterday. PSG Talon lost to the group favorites in Mad Lions, but there's still more games to play. They can always turn things back around and shake up. They were absurdly dominant locally, lost a single game in the PCS, a 9-0 run through playoffs, and now they are on to the Rift yet again to turn it around based off of yesterday's loss, and we are into the game.
Yep, and one of the things that you mentioned when the Hecarim got locked in is the lowered early game power. Of course, there was individual nerfs. There was also the nerfs on the chem tank, which hit Hecarim quite hard because the move speed obviously was contributing a large part of the damage with the E. The devastating charge itself was also nerfed. So it does make Maple's job a little bit safer. He's not going cleanse here on the Lucian, which a lot of people would if you were afraid of any early game jungle ganks, because Rise obviously has that point and click route. Pretty easy to set things up. But with the Hecarim not being that powerful, Maple is opting more towards that TP so he can really pressure Tinones, get back to base, get a good buy, TP back, continue to really keep that pressure up, and we'll see if Pain Gaming can find any way to punish that, because if not, I expect Maple to really have the run of the lane here in the early stages.
All right, looking through mid pressure and then seeing what that can do to affect the junglers. River, of course, being smart in spamming to overheat, spamming the shield. It's a nice low cooldown ability. And you just take the overheat, go into the red zone and just punch your camps to death. with the shield, you're going to be quite healthy. You learn your damage abilities afterwards. Quick clear on the red buff, a reveal on the ward at some point. There we go. Hecarim takes the auto attack, gets the extra gold. 10 gold apiece as River, indeed, yep, knocks down the blue buff, and off towards the Gromp. No big issues here.
Yeah, I mean, the overheat there, you get the bonus attack speed. You have percentage HP damage, I do believe, as well.
Yep.
It's so fast at actually clearing through with that W start, which when you first initially think about it, it seems kind of, counterintuitive. But because you can manage your overheat and have that right off the bat on your first buff, it does end up being quite a bit faster. And then, of course, as you said, go into those other abilities. A lot of Rumbles will do full clears and, even put, multiple points into that queue early if they want to focus on AoE camp sometimes.
Nice little early damage there onto Lucy, though. Honestly, takes 300 damage there off of Kaiwing's stun and just walks back. And now with level 2 difference, of course, they've got to walk away, waiting to catch up their waves. Maple wards left-hand side to watch for possible Hecarim gank angles, and just going to keep the pressure going. Perfect CS so far across the first 2 waves, 12 CS. Good job there. The Rise that have dropped 3 based on all the pressure so far from Tinons.
Yeah, and you can see that Rumble is about 1 camp ahead right now. The clear speed is just straight up faster. He's pulling the red buff up towards the Krugs now as well, which does take longer to kill, to be fair. The Krugs are a little bit of a slower camp, but he should be able to be top at level 4 exceptionally fast if he wants to pressure this Karma, if she is over pushing, or even potentially challenge at that Scuttle, because Maple will have mid lane pressure. They can look to do that. And you can see the pings over to where Hecarim is as he actually hit the vision plant, so they know exactly where Hecarim is in his pathing.
All right, not going to be much right now as Rise going to knock down the waves. And, hey, CS still fairly close on that one. Rumble now pathing down to the Crab, as you had mentioned. Hecarim still on the Gromp. And with Karaoke actually burning Smite on Gromp, doesn't expect to contest River. The River actually smited.
Oh, he wants a lane gank.
6 camp as well. Yeah, here comes Ghost. They're going for a heavy dive on the top lane right now. Keep in mind, Hanabi is half HP. TP coming in. Nice double hop, though. Flash going to keep the tether there into a Q stun into easy peasy first blood. 400 gold in the pockets of Karaoke.
Nicely done by Robo. The early flash to keep the tether on Hanabi there was not something that Hanabi was expecting. By the time he flashed, the Karma's still in range. The root comes through. Despite the fact that the E and the Ghost actually expired from Karaoke, it doesn't matter. He got him right into the Gnar. He knocks him down. A great early play here. Very unexpected to see them go for this sort of an early look. Rise is back in base already. They have set this up very well with Tinons. You can see the flash for Robo. No escape there from Hanabi, despite the fact that he had the hop and the flash with the TP coming in. Staying at the tower wasn't an option. So really nice stuff here from Pain, and they get a big advantage.
Big damage in a BRTT. Able to rocket jump in time, though. Pretty much impossible to prevent rocket jump. I don't believe you can ever get root into Q when it's at that much range. If you're melee, you can, and if you didn't see it, then okay, cool. But rocket jump is, moderate cooldown. The damage, of course, still matters, but not a huge problem. Everyone's going to be back in the lane in a second and keep their farm going. We'll wait for the first recalls out of the 80 carries. They're closer and closer to Noon Quiver Gold, and that's obviously an important power spike to get if you can make it happen. Looks like an early second recall for Tinons. Already got Dark Seal, but gonna add maybe boots and some potions or control ward afterwards and head back over.
Yeah, and a lot of times on Rise in the early levels, mana is kind of your struggle. So being able to get a hard push, reset, even just to refill your mana if you don't have an exceptional buy is still fine. Gets the mana crystal in this case. Maple still has TP advantage, but Tinons has already been able to help with that dive. Yes, he didn't get an assist, but had he not TP'd to the top side, they couldn't have actually pulled that off. Robo, though, without his flash, could be in trouble here.
Yeah, he's on the wrong side of the turret, so good luck with this one. A flash for the Harpoon to slow. They know he's flashes, they know he's an easy target, and River indeed is going to claim the first kill of the game for PSG Talon, keeping the game pretty close yet again. Now equal gold for both these sides.
Yeah, nicely done, and because he grabs that kill for himself and he is ahead in farm, he actually hasn't been back to base even. So he's been out on the map for a long time, is going to have a lot of gold here to spend. Could potentially look down towards that bottom side as River does just ding 6, so has that ready to go. Maple has hit 6. Kaiwing cleared out that Dragon Ward, cheating up towards this top side, so they could potentially look to go for a Dragon here early on, as once they've reset, they've got a lot of power, and you can see the early tier 2 boots, Sork boots purchased up here for River. That plus the ultimate grabs a Dark Seal and an Ampstone. That alone is going to make him really, really threatening, and Karaoke, as a result, will look for Hanabi on the top side.
All right, here we go, 2v1 top side. Mega Gnar, though, nearly there, and honestly, that's kind of the button. That bar is how likely is this gank to fail? Oh, it's 90%? All right, then let's just not go for it, but they're going to go anyway. Root's not going to find, though, as, look, Mega Gnar just puts him right back out, and nowhere to be pushed.
Yeah, nicely played there, actually. Gets the Mega, is able to scoop him to the other side so he can't get knocked back in with the devastating charge. And as a result, seeing the Hecarim on the top side, River will just start this up, but may need some assistance from his team. Maple's actually down by his turret right now, and the bot lane will move up, so this should be theirs. But
yeah, unless you think you can kill him, like, the smite is unanswered because Karyoko was spotted top side, so realistically there's no play. You weren't going to get enough damage done in the 3-on-3 that was going to turn into a 3-on-4 because Lucian could eventually show. And so no play. Dragon claimed, no issues. Gold very, very close again between these teams, but now 1-0 on Dragons is going to feel good for PSG Talon. However, Lucy tries for a play, but, oh, good flash. Just barely 10 gets away from Leona.
Yeah, that is really important. If you get locked down there, Rumble still has ulti. So if you actually get hit by the Detonate Blade, if you get stunned up, the Rumble ultimate layered over top, you are probably just straight up going down. No cleanse being used by either of these mid laners, so the CC can be deadly here.
Still 11 CS lead on the top side. That's with both top laners having a death and an assist. So good laning so far to Robo, getting Karma as the counter pick and putting as much pressure down as possible. Wait to see what the build's actually going to be. Right now, though, with ability power, could be a slightly more offensive build like a... ooh, nice try. Not going to find the root in a BRTT. However, with the re-engage, Rumble is here, River is here, and right in the lane. He's in two places at once, basically. Nice kill picked up there as the Rel goes down.
Yeah, Lucy looking for the counter engage after Kaiwing did whiff on his attempt over on BRTT, but because the Rumble is there faster, they're able to make the play happen. Tanone's, though, spotted roaming down. They got to back it up as Hecarim is behind them, and they see Ryze coming.
Okay, how good's it going to be? Level 6 Hecarim is a lot of crowd control. BRTT's around. Here comes a nice fear to knock them away, but Karyoka's running out of health, and Doggo just kills him outright. A jump backwards, but still enough for the double kill. Now Doggo is crushing it, and none of these plays are working for Pain.
It's the long con for River. He stayed down in that brush so long. Got the initial play, gets the kill with the equalizer. I think everyone from Pain just assumed, all right, River went back to base. All right, River went back to his camps. There's no way he stays this whole time, but they go in for the play, they get the initial kill, and he was willing to stay for so much longer to get the additional kills, and now Hanabi might have the solo.
Good flash, gets away from the stun. No bolo just yet. Yeah, able to stay alive. It's flash for flash, ulti burned, Robo staying back alive.
Yeah, no bolo, just the solo.
Yep.
Does trade flashes up there, but already you're starting to feel like this matchup is moving a little bit more towards parity. The early levels are often the deadliest for Karma in a lot of these range versus range matchups because you're starting at level 1 with your ultimate. That is a pretty significant advantage if you can hit the monster Q. It is tough to deal with BRTT. We'll just back it out, nicely timed on the rocket jump. But as Gnar gets some magic resist under his belt, gets a little bit of HP under his belt, it becomes a lot tougher to actually bully him as the Karma.
And we'll see as the CS deficit probably shrinks over time. We are looking towards Bandle Glassamira plus the Kindle Gem. So, you know, nothing too aggressive there on Robo's side, of course. It is more of a supportive build. But, you know, when you saw the Amp Tome, you knew there were a lot of ways it could have gone. There were a lot of possibilities there. It's going to be, again, the more supportive build. Not going to be anything like a pure AP Karma. Not a surprise, but still one to keep in mind. Herald going to be claimed. Looks like no issues at all. PSG still just stacking up the objectives. 1,700 gold lead right now. Already one dragon to their name, and that gold is going to grow soon with the Herald summon.
Absolutely. If you can get that Herald down topside, even for Hanabi if you want, that can be looking pretty good. One thing I will say is going very well for Pain is actually the mid lane. I think the fact that your Ryze TP'd top instead of back to lane, and it's just farmed evenly against this Lucian is actually really, really positive for them. You know, Lucian can team fight well, but generally speaking, people do pick a mid, you know, for the early laning power to try to create advantages, to try to, you know, utilize the sustain built in, as well as the early damage and trading patterns with the passive and PTA to try to create an edge, and he hasn't been able to do that whatsoever.
All right, freezing the lane down to the bottom side for now, though, Doggo. This will eventually push back down the Triss, but it will deny some farm. Never mind, just hits it anyway. But this is actually really cute. Based on where the minions are going to meet up, it'll actually go back towards him, so actually good timing by Doggo. Anytime, though he has more minions, right? He has up to 2 Aster minions. It's going to meet near BRTT's turret, which means blue team's going to get reinforcements first, which means that wave's eventually stronger, and that wave will push back towards Doggo's turret. With the recalls being only about 6 seconds apart, Doggo is easily there in time to not lose any farm to his turret, and thus is going to, you know, manicure a very small farm lead based on lane manipulation. Nice crunch away. nothing happened.
I think that stuff is really cool. Like, even the timing of his Q, because actually if he waited longer, his minions would have arrived to the enemy range minions, stacked, and then pushed. So if he kills them off at that point, then it would actually push to his opponents. But because his reinforcement wave never actually got in range of those minions, they did not group, so it would come back to him. So the timing really smart there. Good laning skills, good game sense there from Doggo to recognize the situation, and does create a small edge for him. River going to be dropping the Herald here mid. 2 plates almost gone there for Maple, so that is kind of the advantage that he has gotten for himself, and going to push Carioca back.
Really nice damage. Ooh, Gale Force in. Smites for health, though. Smites the Herald. It's a monster, so it does give him 50% max HP, and that's part of the reason why he even lived. But it happens all the same. Still, more happening for PSG Talon. Obviously, 4 turret plates now taken on the mid lane. Second Dragon claimed up there as well. And though Lucy's looking for a play up here, it's not going to matter. Hanabi running away in time.
BRTT will be able to get some tower damage down. The Robo just going to go for the long chase. We'll see how quickly PSG respond, or if they even care. They can try to answer this on the bottom side, but Triss does take towers very quickly. So that is going to be the call. Just try to lane swap, trade on the opposite side, but PSG has gotten back-to-back dragons, has created the gold lead, and generally you get one or the other. You know, when the game is being played out fairly evenly, you often are choosing, okay, do we want to go towards top side, get heralds, you know, get turret plates and extend a gold lead, or do we want to stack the early dragons and try to snowball the game that way? In this case, they've actually gotten both. They have the gold lead and they have the dragon edge, so there's a tremendous amount of pressure on Pain to be able to win this next fight. You know, if you lose 3 straight dragons in the early game, it is a monumentally low chance to actually win the game from there.
Yeah.
It almost always will result in soul for your opponents, because all it takes is 1 smite, 1 team fight, 1 pick, and they will get that. So Pain really going to be feeling the pressure here. Pick some pretty weak early picks here, you know, particularly the Hecarim. Looking at that, you know, more to facilitate the team fight comp. And now they're going to have to get something back for that, right? If you don't nail your engage with Rel and Hecarim and just blast through a team fight with BRTT supported by this Moonstone Karma, then I think the game is pretty doomed after this next dragon.
It really could be. We're seeing 3 minutes and 20 seconds till that dragon comes up. Hanabi grabs himself the turret plate topside. Now up in farm on the Gnar, by the way. We marked a 10 CS lead for Robo not that long ago. Obviously the first blood was there as well, but it's been turning around and turning around and turning around. You can see the gold leads, yeah. Top 3 earners all on the one side. Every single member of PSG Talon has more gold than their respective opponent. Every single one down the line, 400 plus in most of these cases. So looking very good right now. That said, Pin Gaming was down more gold than this yesterday at 30 seconds from now, and they came around with a win. So we'll see if they can make that same thing happen. The push forward, big damage on Tenones, does flash away, staying alive. Getting away from the culling, just barely double ults, but no flashes burned on the PSG Talon side.
Yeah, so it's still a really good trade. They utilize the Gale Force, the double ultimate getting dropped down. Tenones get pushed back immediately. And you can see with the Night Harvester completed here for River, especially once you hit that level 2 on the ultimate, if you go for a little bit of additional CDR on top, Cosmic Drive, or even a Zonias or anything like that, the ultimate cooldown starts getting so low, especially if you've gone towards Ultimate Hunter. You can start to really just drop ultimates left and right. He's already picked up, you know, some kills, some assists, so assuming he's gone that, he's got quite a few charges, and you can really start to use it very aggressively, knowing you're going to have the ultimate back quick.
I'm surprised Hecarim finishes recall, by the way, because Hanabi chose to stay around under the turret now that Mininar is back. That felt maybe diveable, but Carioca just finishes the recall and lets him take the wave under the turret. That feels like maybe a missed opportunity. Mid lane back under fire, especially with Rumble pushing it down, and this is going to be mid lane tier 2 getting killed, no problem. And they're going to walk back and let Doggo take local gold. 300 locally right there on the Kai'Sa. Good as a champion kill in that regard. And that's going to keep accelerating Kai'Sa forwards. That's going to look nice.
5,000 gold lead now for PSG. They have been accelerating this incredibly well. Pain are just kind of bleeding out. So even more so, you're looking towards this next dragon. But when you start to see the item completions, when they start to see PSG coming out of base and recognize how far down they are, it gets a little bit intimidating. You know, are you willing to take that third dragon fight, or do you just try to delay the game even more, wait even longer before you go for it? Because It's tough to win this fight, but it's also tough to win the game if you give up 3 straight dragons. So Pain are really going to be faced with a very difficult position. At the very least, they've got the Everfrost now. Is BRTT in trouble?
Jump back for Maple. Flash is still stunned up, though. The jump to try to get over everything else. Oh, no! Maple! Double kill under his turret. It's gone bad to worse for Pain Gaming.
He even hits him with a thumbs up. Lives with no health. Maple! What a play from him down in that bot side. The initial engage with him flashing in and getting engaged on by Lucy looked like it was gonna be going the way of Pain. Looked like he may have just given away a free kill, but instead he's able to stay alive. BRTT had not based. He didn't even have his mythic completed while Maple was nearly on 2 items. Knew the limits of his champion, knew the limits of his strength in the game. Comes up with a huge play. Oh, and now the dragon fight is even harder. I think there's no way they're even going to challenge at this point just based on their positioning on the map. Rise is moving towards top side, so they're saying, all right, just give it up. It's 2 items completed for both of the marksmen, so they don't even want to fight for it. But now, you know, really where you're looking towards, well, I hope we can steal the next one. But PSG has not been sitting on their gold lead. They have been extending it nonstop. So in goes Maple, playing very aggressively. Flash is trying to get out, but was still caught by the other side of the ulti. But then focusing down the support, turning to BRTT, killing him off. He had gotten so much early damage out, hits him with the thumbs up, that he was able to live just barely long enough to turn to BRTT to get that kill, and you can see the frustration very visible on his face. They know this game is getting out of control and it's going to get worse.
Oof, Robo's roasted now, just barely going to live. Nice Realm Warp, of course, from Tinones, but yeah, that is a problem. I mean, Pain Gaming, this is your primary competition probably, right? If Mad Lions goes undefeated, you've got to outdo PSG, and right now looking like a win on this one. River on a killing spree. It is a 1-for-1 though, it is a trade, so at least something on the board, but with that Meganar stun, Karaoke's just gone. The second kill picked up in this fight, re-engaged on a Maple, not enough damage, but the shot not going to be it, as they're going to walk away yet again. So now, re-engage to the bottom side. Huge stun, cleansed though by BRTT. But here comes Kaisa. Here's kill number 1 and 2 for that fight. And now it is only Tinones running away for his life. PSG Talon again, just doing better in every single fight.
Yeah, they're even going to get the charge on the inhibitor tower here. BRTT forced to flash out, and then he can cleanse the ulti. But the damage is done because the plasma has been applied. Doggo can fly into the back line. This early 2-item completion here for him with the collector. He gets in, finishes off those kills very easily. This one is completely out of control here for Pain. Didn't really draft ways to be able to contest in the early stages. Here it is one more time though. As the TPs are coming in for both sides, Pain decides they're going to try to back it up. Robo here in some trouble, is able to flash into the Realm Warp from Tinones, but then as the play continues, Robo isn't really able to contribute too much to it. They are moving BRTT down. He's going to arrive first, so they decide to go for the engage. The initial engage is pretty good, but the follow-up isn't really there.
Whoa, Tinones spotted, taking down a minion wave, jump forward, and he's gonna take the house to his head. Nice solo kill for Hanabi. PSG Talon getting farther and farther and farther into the lead here. Oh my gosh, 8,000 gold, 3 unanswered dragons. This one's almost over.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, then you look down to Kaisa. Kaisa has 3 items now. BRTT doesn't even have his Zeal to work towards a PD, right? No, this is almost truly 1 items versus 3. BRTT is monstrously behind, and the news doesn't really get better as you look across the lanes, and Robo will be able to walk this one out as the rest of his team is behind, and they don't want to overcommit onto this. We'll see if they can punish Kaiwing on the way out, but doesn't look like it. And, you know, Rumble closing in on 2 items here. Hanabi building towards tank. He is running things in the side lane now, you know, even killing off the Rise in the 1v1, who's kind of maybe your hope for Pain of establishing some sort of a winning lane, some sort of pressure on the map. But, you know, you have not forced much of a disadvantageous build by any means from Hanabi. It's kind of different if it's like, you know, Relier and you forced out Tabbies and whatnot, but he's going into Karma, so he rushed Mercs.
Yeah.
He's feeling pretty comfortable in this Rise matchup anyway.
Yeah. I also got to say, I'm not a fan of the Karma build. I do not like Moonstone. I think Shirelia's is far superior. as an item overall. I think Moonstone just doesn't provide enough anymore. It was nerfed so heavily in the patches between regional playoffs and MSI that I think no one should build it, or like 2 champions like Soraka that can. So I think it's a missed mythic. It's not the determining factor of this game. I just think there's a stronger option. Yeah. But we now look at the chance at a Baron setup at the same time. We're a minute and 10 seconds away from Dragon Soul. PSG Talon would be remiss to not grab that cleanly and then start playing the more difficult objectives, but you keep the wards down and then you claim bottom side, and then with Mountain Soul it's almost impossible to get taken down. Nice Rumble ulti buys a lot of space, gets some decent damage across, but not enough to knock down the turret.
Nope, not enough to knock down the turret, but PSG, I don't think they'll start the Baron unless they get a pick
on a Lucy. No, lands the W trying to get away. Still has to flash, though.
This is double marksman comp. They can kill her off pretty quick. So Pain knows they have to at least keep vision on it, which sets up the potential for picks like these.
A bit of comfort. It's an ultless Leona. Maybe the team fight's not quite as strong anymore. Pain Gaming, though, don't have a minion wave to use with mid lane pressure, so all it means is, well, a couple of wards. They own a brush. That doesn't mean too much. They can see the empty Raptor camp, and they can fight for the wards that are around the Baron pit. Alrighty, unfortunately, Everett is not coming through, so
really
solo cast time. Kobe was my hero, so I cut the cord, and I'm going to try to do my best to match up with him. Thankfully, I'm already a play-by-play. Not going to land the Zenith Blade, but it is Dragon setup. Once again, it's 3-0 in Dragons. Mountain Soul could be at 2-level lead for River, means about 80 more damage on his smite. And now a fight in the bottom river. Big double stun from Meganar. Rumble over the top. It's going to be 1-0 as Tinones drops. Now they engage the bottom side. Lucy gets the locket shield, and Hanabi can't quite find anything more. Not even the Q's gonna land, but it's still a 1-0. No mid laner means no fight for Pain Gaming in Brazil. We'll have to give up the Mountain Drake. It's 12-2. That is a rough scoreline if I've ever seen one. Mountain Soul claimed no problem at all. PSG Talon took a loss yesterday, but they're looking for a win now. 23 minutes in, right away, going to the Baron to the top side now as well. And can you even defend it? You probably have to try, but what's gonna happen when you do? Because you're so far behind. It's 9,000 gold the deficit. Mythics and items across the board. And look at that. They can walk up and see that it dies on their screen. And Karaoke, you can Hecarimult away, and it's going to be just barely enough, but there's still a chase in as Dago is unstoppable, finds himself a double kill, 6-0-1 as the replacement sub on the roster. The only player to beat PSG Talon this year, outside of Mad Lions, and now grabbing them their first win at MSI as well. BRTT now found in front of his red buff, hands it right back over to Maple, and it's time to close the game out. PSG Talon team fight into team fight into team fight. River with the ulti knocks down Robo from the top lane now as well, and it's time for the turrets to fall. 16-2 in kills. We don't even have time for color casting because it's just knocking down structures constantly as mid lane is going to fall. The inhibitor laid bare in the bot lane as well. Respawn's coming through eventually, but it's 24 seconds for Robo, still 12 for BRTT, 5v3 to push in the Nexus turrets, and there's not even damage. Flash Meganar gonna land into nothing, but it doesn't really matter because the turrets can't flash away. They still take full damage. Red Bull Baron still on for 2 minutes, and now it's on towards the rest of the backline. There's a kill off from the Rise as Tinones just can't do anything but respawn and die, and then respawn maybe again. Tristana dies in the fountain as soon as BRTT comes back up, and Ace comes through yet again. PSG Talon from Mountain Soul to game winner. A 25-minute demolishment of Pain Gaming. I agree, Freak. Demolishment is the word you would use here. No one has ever made the word demolition. That doesn't exist in English. It is just demolition now. And what would you expect? Tristana, the demolitionist AD carry. That's a throwback from a while, but couldn't get much done. PSG Talon 1-1 now. A lot of teams now looking at this scoreline. We'll wait to see if there's going to be an answer somewhere else. Of course, we'll wait to see if we can find a victory from Fast Pay Wildcats. Otherwise, though, an easy one-game lead in this group now.